Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our forum today entitled Sustaining Recovery Through Inclusion, a multi-stakeholder approach to address financial inclusion through access to water and sanitation. This event is co-sponsored by the Financial Inclusion Committee of Phoenix and Water.org.
Miss Althea, you are on mute.
Yes. Before we formally start our forum today, may I ask everyone to please join me in prayer. Let us put ourselves in the presence of God. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for all your grace. Thank you for providing us this platform and time to listen and learn as our resource speakers share their knowledge and expertise to all of us. We lift up our event to you today and we place our trust in you. In Jesus' name, amen. Kindly join me in singing our Philippine national anthem. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Thea Ofreneo, Senior Program Manager of Water.org, and I will be your MC for the first part of our forum. We are pleased that you're all well and safe and can join us for this interesting conversation on one of the most relevant issues that we face today. As we all know, the pandemic has underscored the critical role of water, sanitation, and hygiene as a primary line of defense to prevent transmission of the COVID-19 virus and other diseases, especially among the vulnerable. In order to achieve an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable economy, there is a need to forge collaborative and multi-stakeholder partnerships among various stakeholders to jointly advocate and coordinate action that will address this huge unmet need for water and sanitation that undermines our nation's progress. So for the first welcome remarks, may I introduce to you Attorney Francisco Ed Lim. He is the president of the Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines, or PHINIC, and senior legal counsel of Angara, Abelio, Concepcion, Regala, and Peace Law Officer for ACTA Law. He's the immediate past president of the Management Association of the Philippines. He's also a director of the Phoenix Foundation of the Philippines, a trustee of the CIBI Foundation Incorporated, a trustee of the Judicial Reform Initiative Incorporated, a trustee of the Shareholders Association of the Philippines, or ShareField, a member of the Institute of Corporate Directors, a member of the Committee on the Revision of Rules of the Supreme Court, and vice chair of the Committee on Commercial Law of the Philippine Judicial Academy. He's also the former president and chief executive officer of the Philippine Stock Exchange and the Securities Clearing Corporation of the Philippines. And he's also the former president of ShareField. Ladies and gentlemen, Attorney Francisco Ed Lim.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. My dear fellow Phoenix members and guests, good morning to one and all. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this forum on the topic Sustaining Recovery Through Inclusion, a multi-stakeholder approach to address financial inclusion through access to water and sanitation. Today is a very significant day for all of us. Aside from the forum, we will be witnessing the ceremonial signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between Phoenix and water.org, as well as other stakeholders. It is no secret that access to clean water and sanitation is a critical concern for Filipinos, especially the underserved. In a fairly recent forum, an expert estimated that the local economy is losing some 433 billion over poor water and sanitation, derailing human and economic development. Water.org is a global nonprofit organization that advocates financial solutions to help people have access to safe water and sanitation. Phoenix may be able to assist in the promotion and advocacy for access to water and sanitation through financing, information exchange, and consultation. Hopefully, today is the beginning of a collaboration that will benefit the majority of our fellow men. This webinar was made possible through the effort of the Financial Inclusion Committee of Phoenix, headed by its able chairperson, Ms. Gay Santos, Vice Chair John Camus, and Liaison Director, Ms. Ayan Guevara. Thank you to you for having this kind of webinar. Again, thank you for joining us this morning and look forward to your active participation in this forum. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang Phoenix.
Thank you very much, Attorney Francis. For our next welcome remarks, let me introduce to you Honorable Undersecretary Cecilia Lantayona. Her career in the civil service started in NEDA Region 11, after which she then moved to DTI, where she assumed various technical positions at first, then as Official Director of DTI Davao del Sur, as Assistant Regional Director of DTI Region 11, and was later appointed as Regional Director of DTI Region 3 or Central Luzon. Prior to her appointment as Undersecretary, she was the Assistant Secretary of DTI Regional Operations Group, in charge of Kapatid Mentor and Me, Shared Service Facilities, Industry Cluster Enhancement Project, Great Women Project 2, among others. In September 2019, she was appointed as the Supervising Undersecretary of the DTI Regional Operations Group, in charge of the 16 regional offices, 81 provincial offices, and the Bureau of Small Micro Enterprise Development. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Undersecretary Cecilia Lantayona.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. To the organizers of this event, Phoenix and water.org, guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all and welcome to this event. First, let me thank the organizers for inviting the Department of Trade and Industry to this forum on financial inclusion and access to water and sanitation, and how the former can empower people and communities to meet basic needs such as access to clean water. According to United Nations data, 1 of the 3 people worldwide does not have access to safe drinking water, while 2 out of 5 people do not have access to basic hand washing facility. In the Philippines, a study of the National Resources Board shows that by 2025, large portion of Luzon and Visayas would be experiencing water deficit. Putting this topic at the front and center of today's discussion is indeed very timely because we are in the midst of the most challenging global health crisis of all times. We have also seen how COVID-19 affected not only the health of our people, but also that of our economy. The micro, small, and medium enterprise sector, which accounts for 99.5% of the Philippine registered businesses, employs 62.4% of the total workforce, and contributes about a third of the country's gross domestic product, is one of the sectors hard hit by COVID-19 pandemic. But as the economy begins to slowly open up after close to 2 years of almost at a standstill, the MSMEs are bracing up to face the challenges of the new normal with great optimism. However, the emergent requirements of the new normal are more stringent when it comes to health protocol. It has become evident that the MSMEs have to invest in processes and facilities to assure their stakeholders that their establishments are safe and that their products and services are safe as well. This will be one of the new pillars of success for our MSMEs. And DTI believes that financial inclusion plays a critical role in the efforts to help businesses, especially those belonging to the micro and small category, prepare for and respond to and recover from the economic crisis brought about by COVID-19. At this point, I would like to congratulate the organizers for making this event possible. We at the Department of Trade and Industry express our support to this worthwhile undertaking. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yusef Bless. So for our next welcome remarks, let me introduce to you Honorable Assistant Secretary Roderick Planta. He is a career official who started as a junior engineer at the infrastructure staff in December 1993. He rose from the ranks and became the director of the monitoring and evaluation staff in March 2007. He was designated as the director of the infrastructure staff in August 2016 until his promotion to his current position in 2018. He is the Assistant Secretary for Infrastructure Development of the Investment Programming Group of NEDA. He is responsible for infrastructure planning and investment programming and likewise supervises the appraisal of major capital projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Assistant Secretary Roderick Planta.
Thank you, Ms. Alethea. Good morning, everyone. Maraming salamat po for inviting NEDA and me to be a part of this event. To the organizers, Finex President Attorney Francisco Edlin and his team. Also to Water.org Southeast Asia Regional Director Ms. Gay Santos and her team. Maraming salamat po for this opportunity. Magandang umaga din po sa mga iba pa nating mga panauhing pandangal. Yusek Bless Latayona, Mr. Dado Banataw, other distinguished financial executives, guests, colleagues, water friends, ladies and gentlemen, a warm greetings. With your indulgence po, allow me to do a hybrid PowerPoint and opening remarks. Mr. Dick, patulang na lang and help me for some 5 or 7 minutes or so to brief you on the water supply and sanitation sector prospects and challenges and the importance of partnerships moving forward. Mr. Dick or Ma'am Mirna? I'd like to go to the second slide po. Yeah, let me start with the 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all, and which are intended to be achieved by the year 2030. For our purposes this morning, I'd like to talk about SDG 6, which carries the title Ensure Availability and Sustainable Management of Water and Sanitation for All. We in the sector, water supply and sanitation sector, also claim that SDG 6 is central to the attainment of the other SDGs. But I guess that story is for another day. My next slide would be the statistics on water supply sanitation in the Philippines and key water supply and sanitation institutions. In our corner of the world, as mentioned by Yusek Latayono also earlier, data shows that we are progressing slowly towards the SDG 6 goal. Based on recent data for 2020, for water supply, we have about 9 of every 10 families having basic service level of drinking water in the country. For sanitation, it's 4 out of 5 families having a basic sanitation service level in the country. And 7 million people lack access to improved sanitation, of which 4 million people practicing open defecation. We also have information on child deaths from a water-related disease. It's below global averages of 1 child per 2 minutes, but still a death too many. Add to the fact in the matrix there is the fragmentation in the management and the regulation of the water supply and sanitation services, what with more than 30 institutions, which impedes the implementation of long-term solutions and hinders the attainment of universal access targets. Which leads me to my next slide, the Philippine Water Supply and Sanitation Master Plan. Given those antecedents, the next slide please. NEDA commenced the crafting of the Water Supply and Sanitation Master Plan in 2017. After extensive and inclusive consultation, the master plan was approved by the Infrastructure Committee of the NEDA board and was launched last 16 September 2021. The master plan serves as the national action plan to achieve SDG 6. As with other master plans, it updated previous analytical works in the sector, conducted sector assessments and audits, crafted policy reforms, formulated strategies, and identified priority programs and projects. What is interesting and exciting in the master plan is the key reform agendas, where responsible institutions were tasked to implement identified concrete actions towards SDG 6 attainment. There are 8 KRAs, and each has a story of its own and would be told on a separate occasion. I guess with the exception of KRA 6, which is about enabling access to funding and financing. Next slide, this is still based on the master plan. We have the price tag to achieve universal access per our master plan's estimate. It is pegged at 1.07 trillion, or roughly an annual requirement of about 95 billion pesos. And this is more or less equally split over water supply and sanitation. Next slide are pie charts on the water supply and sanitation investment requirements. The biggest sources for water supply and sanitation are commercial loans and development loans. Now let me turn to the next slide. These are the allocations being provided under the General Appropriation Act, or for 2022, the National Expenditure Program. This shows the average investments for the sector, which is about 0.15% of total GA budget, 0.07% of total infra budget, and about 0.03% of GDP. It's roughly at 5 to 6 billion on an annual basis, and compared to the 95 billion annual investment requirement. Okay, so for the next slide, we'll talk a little about the Unified Resource Allocation Framework. Even with the limited resources being allocated by government, We know that inefficient public sector investments will make addressing the investment gap even more difficult. So we are advocating URAF as a resource allocation strategy to rationally allocate national government resources and expedite the improvement and expansion of WSS services provision. This framework, the URAF, is envisioned to promote one, adequacy of fund resources going into the sector by increasing sources of funds to fund water supply and sanitation projects and securing, hopefully, higher appropriations from the government. And second, the rational determination and provision of assistance by considering the fiscal standing of water service providers and the socioeconomic conditions of the population served. The Europe proposes that national government funding the water supply and sanitation initiatives will be mainly focused on service providers and LGUs that are unable to secure financing from open market sources to improve their services. Thus, the nature of national government assistance will be determined by the fiscal and operational position of the water service provider. Which brings us to why NEDA is here also today. Government can't do it alone. We value partnerships and we value the right kind of partnerships. Next slide, please. And we are thus very much encouraged and very supportive of Water.org's continued presence in the Philippines. It's a partnership we'd like to nurture as it will undoubtedly help government towards the achievement of universal access to safe water and sanitation for all. Water.org employs distinct approaches in implementing water supply and sanitation projects by offering smart solutions that, as the website says, break down the financial barriers between people living in poverty and access to safe water and sanitation. With its partnerships model with foundations, financial institutions, development partners, water service providers, and government, Water.org creates lasting solutions and positive impact. Next slide, please. This is about the Water.org program models. We at NEDA have seen how the program model works and are really impressed with the results. We do hope that all of you here will also find merit in them. And as a concluding statement, let me turn you to the last slide. Next slide, please. Allow me to pilfer. Yeah, previous slide, please. Allow me to pilfer that appropriate from another rock star in the water sector. The next slide, please. The too big slide, another rock star in the water sector, apart from the Water.org bosses of Miss Gay, of course. He is Mr. Henk Ovink, the Dutch special envoy for international water affairs. While in this book, he and his co-author write about the related field, climate change. I think we just love to see the nice title slogan, too big, too big. That humankind problem is too urgent to ignore, too big to confront using existing methods and the urgency of a battle we can't afford to lose. So let's continue informing, inspiring, and involving everyone. SDG 6, as with the other SDG 6, is a challenge we can sign up for. Let's engage, let's partner, and let's act now. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Aztec Eric. So for our next welcome remarks, let me introduce to you Mr. Gary White. Gary is the CEO and co-founder of Water.org, a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering people in the developing world to gain access to safe water and sanitation. Water.org is the resulting organization of the July 2009 merger between Water Partners, co-founded by Gary in 1990, and H2O Africa, co-founded by actor Matt Damon. Gary developed Water.org's water credit initiative, creating new financing options for poor populations to meet their water supply and sanitation needs. Gary also developed and now leads Water Equity, an innovation of Water.org focused on raising and deploying social impact investment capital. Over the past 25 years, Gary's entrepreneurial vision has driven innovation in the way water and sanitation projects are delivered and financed, innovations that now serve as a model in the sector. Gary is a leading advisor in the water and sanitation space, counseling organizations such as the Skull Foundation, MasterCard Foundation, PepsiCo Foundation, IKEA Foundation, and the Caterpillar Foundation on responses to the global water crisis. Gary is a founding board member of the Millennium Water Alliance and Water Advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch the video greeting of Mr. Gary White.
Hello, I'm Gary White, CEO and co-founder of Water.org and Water Equity. It's with great pleasure that we welcome everyone to our discussion on one of the most urgent and important issues we all face today. We'd like to begin with a few words of thanks to the Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines, represented by President Francisco Lim, for co-hosting our forum and championing the cause of water and sanitation. Thanks also to our esteemed partners, Secretary Ramon Lopez of DTI, Assistant Secretary Roderick Planta of NEDA, Dado Bonatao of PhilDev Foundation, President David Almirol of Multisys, President Raimundo Rojas of Rizal Microbank, and Executive Vice President Tanya Hotchkiss of Cantalan Bank, and to all the organizations here today who strive to create positive change in their respective fields of influence. Although water and sanitation has been given more significance due to the COVID-19 pandemic, much remains to be done. Now at Water.org, we envision the day when everyone has access to safe water and the dignity of a toilet. We know that the water crisis can't be solved by a one-size-fits-all approach, and we certainly cannot do it alone. Water.org truly believes that the multi-stakeholder partnerships we are forging today with government, banking institutions, development sector, and technology providers would bring forth collaborative and innovative approaches leading to more effective and sustainable solutions to end the water and sanitation crisis in our lifetime. If we all choose to act today, then together we can create a better world for humanity. Again, welcome, and we wish you all the very best for a fruitful discussion today. Thank you.
For our last welcome remarks, let me introduce to you Ms. Griselda Gay Santos. Through previous roles at the World Bank Group and International Finance Corporation, Gay has more than 25 years of experience in investment and portfolio management, credit operations, and operational risk and advisory services. She retired from the World Bank Group in 2019, and today she is the Regional Director for Southeast Asia at Water.org. Gay is also a financial inclusion advocate and serves as the chair of the Financial Inclusion Committee of the Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines. She sits as an independent director of various fintech entities in the Philippines. She developed the new financial literacy training program of the Philippines Conditional Cash Transfer Program, and she authored and co-authored studies in SME finance, insurtech, and social enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Gay Santos.
Thank you, Thea, for that wonderful introduction. It is a great honor to have our co-founder provide this video message, and even a greater honor to be here before you. Good morning, President Francis Lim, Undersecretary Bless Lantoyona, Assistant Secretary Roderick Planta, Ms. Tanya Hotchkiss, Mr. David Almirol, Director Jerry Clavisillas, Mr. Bong Rojas, Mr. Paco Sandejas, colleagues in Phoenix, and guests. Before we proceed with the main panel discussion, allow me to introduce Water.org. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. We can see your screen.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So Water.org was co-founded by Mr. Gary White, who's a water engineer and environmentalist, and the Hollywood actor, Mr. Matt Damon. Water.org has been in existence for more than 30 years. We have provided women hope, children health, and families a future. We have reached 39 million people, providing safe access to water and sanitation, and we operate in 11 countries with the help of 154 active partners. I won't elaborate on the statistics. Thank you, ASEC Eric, for providing that perspective. But clearly, solving the water and sanitation issue can improve health, empower women, enable equality, increase access to education. It enhances resiliency to climate change and increases family income. So highlighting the two program models under water.org, we have what we call water credit, where we work with financial institutions, mostly today with microfinance institutions. And with this partnership, new breed of partnership, we hope to expand beyond microfinance institutions. We provide technical and financial assistance to financial institutions to be able to adopt a water and sanitation loan portfolio. We don't provide money to lend, but rather we provide grants in certain circumstances, again, for the purpose of enabling the financial institutions to adopt a loan portfolio dedicated to water and sanitation. We also have our program called Water Connect, where we work with water utilities, districts, local governments, and associations. Again, we provide technical assistance, financial assistance. We help them market their business. We improve their operational efficiencies, provide monitoring and valuation, among others. So beyond the financial institutions, we also work with the government. We have NEDA, we have DTI now, more of strengthening the enabling environment. Again, working with the financial institutions to mobilize capital dedicated for access to water and sanitation. Mostly, we want to bring this access to households earning $6 and below daily. And also, as mentioned earlier, we work with water utilities as well. Funded centrally in the US through partners like IKEA, Bank of America, Gap, PepsiCo, and others. Outside the US, that's where we implement our operations for increasing access to water and sanitation. And as I mentioned earlier, mostly we partner today with microfinance, and that's changing now with an expanded partnership to bigger financial institutions. We're partnering currently with Manila Water, MCPI, and a number of local government and water districts. To date, we have in the Philippines, we started our operations in 2014. The average loan size is $181. We have disbursed $210 million. We have reached more than 5 million people. In Indonesia, we started our operations around the same year. Average loan is $161. We have mobilized $95 million and reached 3 million people. In Cambodia, we're still establishing our operations formally, but then again, we started some level of intervention in 2015. The average loan size is $502. We have disbursed around $190 million and reached 1.6 million people. Yes, we have achieved a lot, but there's much that can be done still. And that's where we hope this new partnership can help us scale more. We are aligned in inclusion in several ways: financial inclusion, social inclusion, gender inclusion, access to finance, and rural development. So I want to close by saying, from my perspective, the pandemic magnified the importance of two things. One, ensuring sustainability, and that can only be achieved if we ensure that each of us have that sustainable access, at the very least, to the basic necessities such as water and sanitation. The second aspect that the pandemic has magnified is the importance of partnerships. According to ASIC Eric earlier, the government cannot do it alone. With the constrained resources, it is critical to come together and leverage on each other to maximize results. Yes, these are difficult times, but there is a silver lining. This challenges all of us to think outside the box. I believe that despite these challenges, there are a number of opportunities to explore in terms of projects, products, and partnerships. I'm so excited. Water.org is so excited to be part of these partnerships. I come to you with eager anticipation of the great work that we will do together. Thank you very much. Over to you, Faye.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kay. So for the next portion of our program, there will be a panel discussion on our topic today, followed by an open forum or Q&A. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Mr. Jose Camus, our panel moderator. He is a senior bank executive with broad-based success in financial institutions in the Philippines. Currently, he is the lead consultant for infrastructure projects and finance for the OLI Consulting Group Incorporated and managing director of HG Managers and Advisors Corporation. His banking experience includes his role as executive vice president and chief financial officer of Producer Savings Bank, in Bank of Commerce as executive vice president and head of the retail banking group responsible for branch banking, consumer lending, credit card, and branch expansion, and in UCTB Savings Bank as president, where he managed 18 branches nationwide and successfully relaunched small business and business loan and consumer loan programs, focusing on the auto loans, mortgage loans, and the purchase of residential real estate receivables. Joey has strong project finance and corporate finance skills. At San Miguel Corporation, as a member of the corporate finance group, he participated in the planning, evaluation, and project oversight over new projects in the power sector, toll roads, and bulk water infrastructure. At Dharmala Capital and Trust Company and UTB Capital Corporation, Joey acted as financial advisor for equity and debt underwriting and privatization. He is the vice chair of FINEX Financial Inclusion Committee. Mr. Joey Camus, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Thea. Thank you for that introduction. So let me introduce the first panel speaker, Mr. Director Jerry Clavesillas. Director Jerry Clavesillas is a certified public accountant by profession, working on micro, small, and medium enterprise promotion and development, starting in the 1980s as MASICAP scholar that provided technical assistance in the preparation of feasibility studies for loan applicants. He also has experiences working with various international organizations for projects on enterprise and entrepreneurship development in the Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries. He has been the Philippines official representative to the APEC SME Working Group and the ASEAN Coordinating Committee for MSME since 1996. He is presently the director of the Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprises Development of the Department of Trade and Industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Clavesillas.
Thank you very much, Boss Joey, and good morning, everyone. So for my part, I will be sharing the relevance of financial inclusion through access to water and sanitation to our micro, small, and medium enterprises sector. So I will be sharing my, for a while. I will be sharing with you this morning the MSME development plan and how it relates with this topic that we are now discussing. Can you see now my presentation, Sir Joey?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can see here, this is now the current MSME development plan under this administration, meaning from year 2017 until next year. And we can see here that our focus area for the promotion and development of this sector is number one is the business environment. Business environment has two strategic goals, and the first one is improve business climate. And we know that access to water and sanitation is also part of this initiative because as we have been hearing from the presentations earlier, from Yusek Bless as well as from Asek Eric that water is very important resource, especially now to our MSMEs. Second goal, this is very much also related, which is improve access to finance as part of our business environment. So I am very glad, actually we are very glad that our topic this morning focuses on these two strategic goals of our first focus area of the MSME development plan. And just for your information, let me also discuss the second focus area, which is business capacity. Under business capacity, we have here two strategic goals. We have here the enhancement of the management and labor capacities, wherein we are focusing now on capacity building, not only for our business owners, but including their workers. And the second goal is under this focus area is improve access to technology and innovation. Actually, these are also somehow related to our topic this morning because we can also conduct capacity building even for our MSMEs as far as the use of water as a resource, as well as they're having this affordable and clean sanitation system in their operations. And finally, we have the third area, which is business opportunities. So this one refers primarily to the access to market. So what do we have now? No, what pertaining to this discussion? We can see here that well, I'm glad that Mr. Camos is the chair of the financial inclusion of FINEX because access to finance is the very important goal of our MSME development under this administration. And we can see here that we have identified, these are now the action plan that has been prepared by the concerned agencies or organizations pertaining to this goal. So number one action plan or a strategy rather is to streamline and simplify loan requirements and processes for MSMEs and cooperatives. Second, build capacities of financial institutions and cooperatives to provide business development assistance for MSMEs. Provide financial literacy training for MSMEs, institute policies and programs for innovative financing, as well as develop, promote, and expand alternative financial instruments to better serve MSMEs' financing requirements. So we're very pleased also that as per the presentation of water.org as presented by Ms. Gay, these are also the same initiatives that the organization is now engaging in order for our MSMEs to become part of this advocacy. So we also have this program, or actually this is already an advocacy of the DTI to promote green economic development. So this is a development that applies strategies that consider the reduction of carbon emission and pollution, reducing environmental risks and ecological scarcities. So what are we doing under this program? We have number one is the conduct of the green economic development learning and sensitization events, business advisory on GED, and the conduct of matchmaking and green financing events with green business development services, green technology suppliers, and green financing companies. So these are now the various greening hotspots that our advocacy is focusing on, and part of that is wastewater management. Natural resource management first is that already including water, and the second one is wastewater management. So very appropriate for our discussion this morning is our MSME development plan that encapsulates all of the programs rather or the interventions that is being provided not only by water.org but including FINEX. So this is now what we are doing, and this is just to, by way of sharing with you how important this partnership now between water.org as well as DTI. So we have already heard the things that water.org can do, and what on the other hand the DTI can also likewise do in order to go along with the services that is now provided by water.org. So we can promote water and sanitation access under our Green Economic Development Program initiatives. We can provide technical inputs, organizational support, and guidance in one, designing and implementing the program, and participating in fora, meetings, and other events, assigning a point person, and utilization of marketing channels in furtherance of the objectives of this collaboration. So this is all that we are now looking forward for a very fruitful partnership between the water.org and the DTI. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Clavecillas, for your presentation on DTI's perspective. Our next speaker is Mr. David Almirol Jr. David Almirol Jr. is a full-time techno-entrepreneur and a full-stack programmer by heart. He founded Multi-stakeholder Technologies Corporation, a leading software solutions company in the Philippines that blazes the trail across the IT, government, healthcare, utility, hospitality, retail, banking, and finance industries. It is considered as the country's most important technology provider, with platforms being used by more than 2,500 companies and organizations. Earlier this year, David was named as one of the 10 outstanding young men honorees for 2020 emulated by the young generation and the nation in general. David is an honoree for science and technology engineering and worked his way through underemployment, homelessness, bankruptcy to make his mark as one of the country's techno and technopreneur icons. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Almirol Jr.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the kind introduction. To our friends from Phoenix, water.org, DTI, NEDA, Pilden Foundation, Rizal Microbank, Cantilan Bank, and to all the attendees of this forum. Today, we commemorate the multi-stakeholder partnership between the public and the private sector towards affordable and lasting access to safer water and sanitation, which would benefit millions of women, children, and communities. When we were invited to contribute to this endeavor, we did not hesitate, since we share a clear-cut vision of how, through technology, we could help propel sustainability and inclusivity, especially to the economic growth by driving and creating opportunities that promote good health, prosperity, and improve well-being of Filipinos from various corners of the whole country. Digital platforms and solutions are key to be able to survive and thrive in this digital era. More so, now that limited in so many ways, we need technologies that we will be able to transact with each other in paperless, contactless, and even cashless. This is where Multisys can contribute somehow. Through this partnership, we will assist in addressing the technical capacity and financial constraints among households and enterprises to increase access to water sanitation services. We will embark on projects and innovate activities that will employ software technologies and system integrations to enhance operations of financial institutions, SMEs, and water utilities. The objective to this increase in terms of capabilities to access finance and other services on water and sanitation access should be future ready to make sure that we are futuristic in nature. As I close this short message, allow me to iterate our commitment of providing technology to maintain and contribute and support for sustainability, especially on solutions and innovations for water.org and to its partners. We will support your activities that will lead to wider access to water and sanitation among people. Thank you for counting in Multisys to this very meaningful and impactful endeavor. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, David. I look forward to your discussion in the panel. Our next panel speaker is Mr. Francisco Paco Sandejas. Paco Sandejas is the founder and chairman of Nara Ventures, Zepto Education, and StratPoint Technologies. He's also the founder and CEO of Zepto Education, a systems developer and integrator of the most innovative platform for the delivery of digital education content and tools for schools of the developing world. He founded and chairs StratPoint Technologies, one of Southeast Asia's leading software consulting firms focused on enterprise-level digital transformation. Nara Ventures is a technology holding company and a boutique early-stage investment group that founded StratPoint Technologies, Zepto Education, Nara Venture Capital, as well as invested in over 40 technology companies, with some notable companies being Infi, SIRF, Amulair, Quintic, Calypto, and Sandbridge. Paco also serves as an independent director on the board of Sun Life of Canada Philippines and the Medical Doctors Inc. He is chairman of the Philippine S&T Development Foundation. He was an independent director of Union Bank of the Philippines, where he helped lead the board's efforts in the transformation that made the bank the most decorated digital bank in the Philippines, serving as chairman of the Technology Steering Committee and the Operations Risk Management Committee. At Stanford, where he completed his PhD and MS in electrical engineering, he co-invented the grating light valve, one of Stanford's top-earning intellectual properties. He was the first summa cum laude of the University of the Philippines Diliman in applied physics program and was awarded the 10 Outstanding Students of the Philippines. Paco holds 5 international patents in nanotechnology and optoelectronics. Being chairman of the Science and Technology Development Foundation, co-founder of Brain Gain Network, Paco advises various agencies of the Philippine government, De La Salle University and the University of the Philippines. He worked for H&Q Asia Pacific, Applied Materials, and Siliscape. Let me welcome Mr. Paco Sandejas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Camus, for that kind introduction. And it's an honor to be in front of such an esteemed group of professionals from the Phoenix and the members of this partnership that are working with water.org. One of the messages that our chairman of Philippine Development Foundation, Dado Banatao, wanted to also share with you was that at one time he, I guess he inspires all of us because of his true rags to riches story, you know? We all know that Dado as the most successful technology serial entrepreneur from the Philippines, but not known to many is, or maybe known now, but he was the son of a very poor farmer from Igig in Isabela, who was forced to become one of the OFWs in Hawaii and left in the 50s to work. And one of his first remittances was used to fund a water well in Isabela because they're a farming community. Hence, Dad wanted to share that with this panel today. In addition, Dado credits his success because of his education, right? So today, the PhilDev board and I work together to support the pillars that led to the success of Dado and many other Filipinos. And these 3 pillars are education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. These 3 pillars are what makes Filipinos able to innovate and change the world and make it a better place, the same way that water.org and the other people in this panel are trying to do. As a research and development professional, I note these days that many of my colleagues in the venture capital and the startup entrepreneurial world are focusing on startups that address the SDG goals related to health, including water and food. This helps to put in perspective us who are in finance and technology that we are more the enablers and not necessarily the end goal of humankind. But PhilDev, we try to focus and remember these things, and we hope to enable many of the innovators that will solve these world problems. So what do we do at PhilDev? Aside from STEM education scholarships, which we give a lot of, Philippine S&T Development Foundation continues to work with various government agencies to train and develop the teachers of the entrepreneurship programs that we developed with the University of California, Berkeley, and the ERDT universities of the DOST. So over the last decade, we've been enabling and capacitating the professors in these universities. Hopefully also, we have scholars in these programs. We have a number of scholars, about maybe 800 by now, funded by the DOST, and they did their masters and their PhDs. And we hope that this innovative engineers and scientists are going to be able to work with many of the organizations here to solve problems at all levels. scientific levels, engineering levels, and as discussed in Phoenix, maybe also in the financial and technology areas. We have also mentored and coached more than 100 startups, probably a couple now, through various programs that we did with UNDP, with AusAid, with USAID, and we have graduated a number of startups. Some of them you might have met in your companies, pitching to you their bright ideas. We are very proud today that there are so many investors, incubators, and even corporate venture arms. Not to mention, there are now regional funds that are investing in Philippine startups. These are moderate successes, but we hope that one day we'll have unicorns the same way that our colleagues in Indonesia, Malaysia are doing. No, so we do not at PhilDev, we cannot do this by ourselves. We are very honored to be invited to be part of this collaboration, and we hope to find a lot of synergies with agencies and organizations here so that we can innovate and invent and create startups or programs that will really make a difference in the SDG goals of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paco. Thank you for that view of venture capital in financial inclusion. Our next speaker is Mr. Raimundo Rojas. Mr. Rojas is the president of Rizal Microbank. Prior to his appointment, he served as the bank's head of operations from 2009 to 2016. And before joining the bank, he was a regional manager for the USAID, Rural Bankers Association of the Philippines, Micro Entrepreneur Access to Banking Services Program. Chief Commercial Officer for Action International Inner Mongolia, and Microfinance Department Head and Technical Assistant to the General Manager of the First Isabela Cooperative Bank, Inc. He graduated with a degree of BS Psychology from the Lyceum of the Philippines and AB Philosophy from the San Pablo Major Seminary. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Raimundo C. Rojas.
Thank you very much, Joey. And I'd like to say good morning to everyone. First of all, allow me to say thank you to the organizers of this forum, the Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines and Water.org, for inviting Rizal Microbank to share its work in the area of financial inclusion and how does this work shall or will contribute to the recovery of our country, most especially the segments that have been greatly affected by the pandemic. But I believe a quick introduction of the institution I represent is in order. Rizal Microbank, a thrift bank, is one of the youngest companies of the Yuchenko Group of companies and majority owned by RCBC, one of the top 10 universal banks in the country. It was established as the microfinance company of the group and started operating in mid-2010. RMB has 17 outlets comprised of 16 branches and 2 branch-like units strategically located in southern Tagalog, Cebu province, and key regions in Mindanao. 70% of our workforce is assigned in branches since we know how microfinance is a labor-intensive business, while the remaining 30% is in the corporate offices. The Thrift Bank's head office is in Davao City. Aside from our modest branch network, RMB has 80 cash agent partners to date in Southern Tagalog and Mindanao, generated internally through our Bangko ng Bayan agency banking program, which we pilot tested at the height of the pandemic, and which was granted an advanced electronic payment and financial services license just June of this year. The cash agents serve as low-cost touch points for loan queries and application, onboarding of basic deposit account holders for clients, cash in and cash out, and bills payment services. As a thrift bank of RCBC, RMB's mandate is to provide working capital loans to micro-enterprise and sub-small enterprise operators through our microfinance, small business, agribusiness, and agri-production loan products. The bank also offers deposit products such as ordinary savings, current account, and time deposit. As of September 30th of this year, RMB has 855 million pesos in deposit volume and about 10,000 depositors. We are happy to say that 30% of our total depositors are basic deposit account holders. The average deposit balance of our BDA clients is about 1,700 pesos. Loan portfolio as of September of this year stood at 1 billion pesos. Based on RMB's mandate of lending to micro and small enterprise operators, it can easily be deduced that we are serving segments of our society or community that are considered very vulnerable to social and economic shocks. And this characteristic of the market segments we serve got highlighted when the COVID-19 pandemic happened. With the strict community quarantines, most of the businesses we finance, which are engaged in wholesale and retail trading, food processing, and light manufacturing, as well as personal services, were heavily impacted. In the spirit of Bayanihan, we did what is needed to do, and that is to offer various loan relief measures to affected borrowers, ranging from moratorium on principal payments lasting up to 6 months to refinancing and restructuring. Despite the pandemic, RMB's board of directors made a conscious decision that we will continue providing loans to both new and repeat borrowers because it is during these critical times like this that help should be extended, especially to those who need it most. Just the tagline of our parent company, RCBC. We are here as partners through generations. Sa hirap at ginhawa, maaasahang magkasama. In 2019, as RMB was turning a decade old, we redefined and reformulated our vision and mission, as well as our brand core. As our reformulated vision and mission, RMB committed itself to making financial access work for small people, producing high impact and sustainable results. In terms of the brand core, RMB shall offer financial services within the reach of the common people, anchored on their hopes and dreams. And today, as I participate here as one of the panelists representing banks that are committed to financial inclusion, our mission, vision, and brand core resonates well with the idea that as we move towards recovery, we all should consider that there are simple hopes and dreams that have been put on temporarily hold. For the simple folks in the countryside, simple hopes and dreams could be access to clean water and sanitation. From a simple research I did, it is no joke for financially challenged people to get access to clean water and sanitation. Cost of water installation from some water companies in Mindanao ranges from 1,800 pesos to 8,000 pesos. Putting up a dip well, either a balon or a pozo, is not a desirable option anymore as it is more expensive, costing from 3,000 pesos, or rather 13,000 pesos to 20,000 pesos. Add to it being expensive, the supply of water is not guaranteed due to the impact of climate change and environmental degradation. On the other hand, the cost of putting up toilet ranges from 3,000 to 10,000 pesos. From my visits to Rizal Microbank's trade areas prior to pandemic, I got to talk to some of our loan clients. Whenever I asked them why do they borrow funds from Rizal Microbank, the usual answer is they want their small businesses to grow and earn some profits. And when further queried, where do they put their profit or use their profit, the usual answers are blowing it back to the business, sustain the education of their children, save for old age, and allocate some for home improvements, which include better water supply as well as better toilet and bathroom. So in a way, financial inclusion does impact and cover various aspects of people's lives, especially those that belong to the marginalized and vulnerable segments of our society. Now, given our privileged position and role in the various fields we are in, we can commit to pull our expertise and skills together so that we can make a huge difference in hastening our recovery from the impact of this pandemic. it is very imperative that as the title of this virtual forum suggests, we need to have a multi-stakeholder approach to address financial inclusion through access to water and sanitation, since we have a lot of catching up to do. It has been recognized already that with this pandemic, gains in the attainment of targets related to Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, have been halted or even reversed. And 2 of the 17 SDGs, SDG 3 and SDG 6, are related to water and sanitation. So there is a cause for concern. Given the setback and challenges in SDGs and the need to recover from the pandemic, it was not difficult. It was not a difficult decision for me and my team when Water.org, through its regional director, Gay Santos, approached us if we want to enter into a memorandum of understanding and explore the possibility of Rizal Microbank designing or offering products and services that will address basic needs such as clean access to clean water and sanitation. So today, RMB is happy and grateful to join hands with Water.org and Phoenix and the other stakeholders from the public and private sectors and doing our part in ensuring sustainability as well as fast recovery from this pandemic. No one left behind. It's the title of the book on the Philippines financial inclusion journey that was recently produced by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. And I'd like to end this talk by encouraging everyone here to keep the title of the book in mind and make sure that in our journey to recovery from this pandemic, no one is left behind. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga po muli sa atin.
Thank you very much, Bong. Our next speaker is Ms. Tanya Hotchkiss. Tanya is the Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of Cantilan Bank, a rural bank that serves over 100 underbanked communities across 12 provinces in Mindanao. She is in charge of driving the bank's digital transformation to provide digital transformation towards sustainable growth and inclusive finance for the underbanked and underserved communities in Mindanao. Tanya earned her degree of Masters in Development, Innovation and Change from the University of Bologna in Italy in 2011. For her outstanding work in the international development community, she received the DEVEX 40 Under 40 Award in 2013 in Manila. And in 2016, she completed the HBS Action Executive Program on Strategic Leadership in Inclusive Finance at the Harvard Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Tanya Hotchkiss.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you for that introduction. I'd like to thank Phoenix, of course, and Water.org for this opportunity to share Cantilan Bank's story on digital transformation and also financial inclusion and the larger sustainable finance initiatives that we're engaged in. And I'd like to thank, of course, the other members of this panel, our co-stakeholders in this endeavor. Allow me to share my screen. I'd like to share a couple of points that would give you a picture of what it's like working in a rural bank in Mindanao. And these days, it's a lot more difficult because of the pandemic, of course. And, we're challenged by our geography, the location, and again, the status of, or the state of infrastructure here in places like Cantilan, a small town in Surigao del Sur. We serve over 100 underbanked communities across Mindanao and some also in the Visayas. We received the 2019 BSP Digital Trailblazer Award primarily for being the first bank in the Philippines to be given final BSP approval to go on cloud. And most recently, we're very proud of having received an award from APEX, the API Exchange, and AFIN, the 2021 North Star Impact Award. So the state of financial inclusion in places like Cantilan and in this part of Mindanao where we serve you see this picture and we don't necessarily know how much the needle has moved on these statistics because of last year. But prior to the pre-pandemic, these were our numbers. Almost half of the unbanked towns here in the Philippines are located in Mindanao. So, this serves as a challenge, but at the same time, it was an opportunity for us to understand how best we can serve this market. We also know that it is also a challenge for rural communities, especially during these times. If we don't watch out, the digital divide can also widen. But it seems like we're on track. The trends, even before the pandemic, saw that even the unbanked actually own a mobile phone. So there are a lot of opportunities here to be able to serve and improve services that we offer. So we're definitely looking at financial inclusion as our mission, and the definition of the BSP as shown here is something that really encapsulates what we do. We are at the front lines of financial inclusion, and this is where we are actually feeling, the crossroads of the demands of what rural banking is in terms of our mandate, in terms of our ability to be able to do that during a pandemic, despite all the challenges. Again, if we don't really plan properly, the gaps and the inequalities that have existed in the past, including lack of infrastructure or weak infrastructure, especially when it comes to water access, these may widen further. And COVID obviously has amplified the relevance of digital. And so we're here at this nexus where, our strategic plans in the past are now coming to a head. Instead of just looking at innovation as something we need to do for competitiveness, for relevance in the market, we're really looking at it from a survival point of view. And clear sustainability plays a large part in this. And technology we've identified very early on as a key driver for financial inclusion. And we really look forward to using technology to be able to level the playing field and provide equitable and fair access, not just to our end clients, but also to the rural banks that are expected to provide this service at the front lines of financial inclusion. Now, in terms of just the larger impact of digital transformation and digital payments as well, I'd like to stress here that as part of the Sustainable Development Goals, especially SD6, we're trying to understand how best we can use technology to improve quality of life, specifically access to water and clean and safe water. And of course, the Sustainable Development Goals for rural development at large. For Cantilan Bank, we knew that we really had to adapt. We had to embark on our digital transformation journey from years ago. And at the very end of it, we really want to revolutionize the way we deal with our customers and our customers deal with us. And allow me to just give you a picture, a snapshot of the past 11 years. I won't go into detail about this, but if you can see, despite the pandemic, we increased the amount of innovation inside our organization. And the only way we were able to do that was through partnerships. So the first critical piece of our digital transformation, which led to us going on cloud for the first time in January of 2019. We really needed a lot of stakeholders there and partners, and the Asian Development Bank and the BSP were critical to the success of this pilot. The second part of our journey also included a lot more partners. Again, the more we try to achieve, and this was done in the middle of the pandemic last year, and we knew that there was only one way to do it. Innovation together with partners is the only way forward. In the same token, last year, we became a member of API Exchange, which is an initiative of the ASEAN Financial Innovation Network, together with MAS and IFC, and also the ASEAN Bankers Association. So it's a platform that supports financial innovation and inclusion in our region here. So again, the more we try to do in a shorter span of time, it requires even more stakeholders and partners. So we like to think that that's an approach that we can replicate here for greater impact when it comes to achieving this SDG6 goal. So what I'd like to focus on now is what we have at the moment. Just recently, we launched together with, of course, with our partners here, ADB, IFC, and our other technology partners as well. We launched our mobile banking app just last month, and this is critical to our response to the pandemic and what it's going to look like post-pandemic. The recovery will really need all manner of partners and services that will be made available through digital. And for Cantilan Bank, this means that we have to have digital banking essentials, even to our clients who are probably previously unbanked. The fact that they themselves had to change their behavior last year, much like you and I, a lot of their activities had to transfer online. And even if we're a rural bank, we knew that we had to provide this to our clients. We know that they have smartphones, and now it's even more, it's imperative for us to be able to provide, not through this platform, not just the financial services, but also financial education. So we're very interested in maximizing this platform, our mobile banking and digital platform and channel, to be able to deliver our services as well as education and awareness. So with ICANN, a lot of our clients can now pay by load and do fund transfers and access their accounts. And I think, again, what interests us in this particular, today's topic is how we're able to do that with the local water utilities as well as one of the stakeholders. Again, we work out of 12 provinces, and in each of those provinces, you have hundreds of municipalities, and they all have their local water utilities who are probably not connected in any way. So for us, we're trying to change and revolutionize the way we do finance and financial services in the rural landscape, making sure that these services are available. You can go to a sari-sari store to pay for your local water bill and so on. So where do we go next? So we are very much aligned with the BSP's digital payments transformation roadmap for the next couple of years. And we're on track to achieve these types of numbers as well internally within the bank, but with sustainable finance framework in mind. And again, the BSP is also on top of this. The BSP Circular 1085 on sustainable finance, is something that is all encompassing. And again, today's topic of, sustaining recovery through inclusion, what does that actually mean? How do we address financial inclusion and access to water and sanitation at the same time? So this is a challenge. And for Cantilan Bank, we leveraged our partnership with water.org, which started, I believe, in 2018, but it was only 2019 after a joint discovery and development process of this loan product. It's a microfinance product that we call WASH. You can see here that we're trying to achieve our own objectives, our own mission. We're able to provide credit to our microfinance and AVC or agri-value chain clients so that they can finance water access. A lot of them still need water connections to the local water utilities. A lot of them may need deep well electric motor access for their farms. And of course, toilet construction, repairs, and improvement. And water filtration and rainwater harvester is also one of the things that they're allowed to use this credit for. As you can see there, it's a microfinance product, which we started sometime in 2019, September, I believe. And as of today, we have a very modest portfolio when it comes to this particular product, but we intend to grow this. As you can see, from 2020 to today, we've really increased, the access to this product, and we intend to do that for the rest of our clients across the 12 provinces. So we have a very modest portfolio at this moment for this product, 4 million pesos. And one other thing that we'd like to really look at in terms of, why this excites us. I was listening earlier to our to Assistant Secretary Planta, who had mentioned too big. Like, this is one of those problems that's too big to undertake for one institution alone. And so for Cantilan Bank, we like to work a lot with our partners, including private and public stakeholders. Back in 2019, we put together the Convergence on Sustainable Watersheds. So here in Cantilan and the neighboring towns in Surigao del Sur, we are home to a lot of critical watersheds. It's also home actually to the Philippine eagle, our national bird. And so we've came together with a statement of commitment, and we partnered with even the Cantilan Water District and Philippine Eagle Foundation to ensure that the watersheds they remain intact, that we have sustainable access to water. And again, this is a critical piece in rural development, and it sits exactly at the nexus of where finance and sustainability can meet. And again, for Cantilan Bank, the lesson that we've learned throughout, and especially through the pandemic, was we really need to be able to focus on innovation, but together with partners. So I'm very much looking forward to the new partnerships that we could have today. Of course, we're excited to be here for the signing ceremony together with Finex and Water.org and the other stakeholders here, so that together we can sustainably serve the unbanked and the excluded community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tanya. That was very interesting. The concept that Cantilan has worked with many of its partners to innovate for water and water organization. So let's have everybody. Can we have everybody in the panel on screen so we can start the panel discussion? Okay, let me start with a question on really related to the MOU that's being signed this afternoon. So, and I address this to all the members of the panel. Let's go through each one so you can discuss your own view on this. But the two questions are: what motivated you to partner on this effort to increase access to safe water and sanitation? I know some of you have given your own thoughts already, but let's just hear them again. And how does this partnership fit within your organization's mandate? So if you can describe what your expectations are for the partnership, that would be very interesting. Why don't we start with Director Clavicillas?
Yeah, I think I have already presented that in my presentation earlier. So as we all know, water is now becoming to be scarce and an expensive resource. So it's very important for our MSMEs as they continue to be recovering now, no? Especially from the adverse impact of this pandemic. So we will continue to provide this intervention to our MSMEs using this partnership between the department and water.org. That's all, Joey. Thank you.
David?
Yes. Well, the world has a lot of burdens to carry, Jose, right? So, but if we will carry, the more people or the more groups, the more organizations will try to carry this burden, I think it will be lighter, and we can solve a lot of problems. Collaboration is our model in Multi-Sys ever since. Partnership is our game. And we all know that innovation and technology will become an engine of any sector nowadays. And technology is a very good tool to make sure that we're able to expedite, this kind of complexities. So that's why when I spoke with the Gay, we bear the same passion that, I think let's try to help each other. And technology can be our tool for this kind of activity. So we're really excited for this endeavor.
Thank you. Paco?
Thank you. I'd like to reinforce the fact that Philippine Development Foundation is a nonprofit. It was a gathering of a good number of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. So we started there, and a number have moved back to the Philippines. And these entrepreneurs, I have to be really proud of them that they are through, you might say bleeding hearts, but they really mean very well, because the goal of PhilDev is to eradicate poverty in the Philippines. But by means of innovation, right? By applying all the things that made each of the trustees and each of the contributing members as successful in their entrepreneurial jobs in Silicon Valley or around the world, they have become successful that way, and they want to apply the same rigor, the same discipline of inventing and innovating. And like David said, as partners, right? And I think Tanya also shows it in her presentation that we do it collaboratively, and all startups are the agglomeration of multi-talented people, right? Of multi-disciplines. So PhilDev really believes in that. We've done it for education. So like I ended up now running Zepto Education because for the last 30 years, we've been trying to give computers to public schools in the Philippines, and it never works. It never works. And you really have to get to the bloody details of what makes a student become an expert in reading or math or anything, right? And it's the same thing with water problems. It's the same thing with financial inclusion. There's so many little details. So I really appreciate this union of many bright minds, and hopefully we'll make a big difference together.
Thank you, Paco. Raymond? Bong?
Yes, Joey. For Rizal Microbank, I think that what excited us about this proposed partnership and collaboration is that we see a perfect fit in terms of the market that we're going to target, right? If we go by the numbers, water on a national level is not a problem. But if you go by the region, you go by the provinces, municipalities, barangays, there is still inequity in terms of access to clean water and sanitation. And just like Cantilan Bank, Rizal Microbank operates in the countryside. And we're seeing clients wherein they are still having problems with access to clean water and sanitation. With the partnership, our expectation is that, of course, Gay has already mentioned, there's no funding to be given. On the contrary, what they're providing is expertise and technical capabilities in designing suitable products that will address access to clean water and sanitation. So that's what we're looking forward to getting from water.org. What Rizal Microbank is bringing into the table in terms of the partnership and collaboration is we have the loanable funds. We're awash with money. We're very liquid, and of course, we just want to lend it out. You know. And the other thing that we're bringing into the table is like what Tanya mentioned earlier. One of the challenges we face in serving the unbanked and underserved is that we cannot rely anymore on people coming to the branches, right? With the constraints brought about by the pandemic, hindi pa naman tapos itong problema natin dito. Kahit bumababa na sa alert level number 2, ang statuses ng maraming lugar sa Pilipinas is still, the virus is out there. We still need to observe social distancing, physical distancing, observing safety and healthy protocols. And just like what Cantilan did last year, Well, this was a project in the making for about 2 years. We took advantage of the cash agency regulation under the Financial Inclusion Initiative of BSP. Um, so with our shift to software as a service core banking system powered by AWS cloud services. In fact, we're the first trip bank in the Philippines to go on cloud, which enabled us now to offer our cash agency banking services. Anong ibig sabihin nito, di ba? Yung mga nangangailangan ng ng pautang nasa mga liblib na lugar. And based on the financial inclusion study, asking them to apply for a loan in the poblacion will require them, one, travel time. Number two, the cost of transportation, right? So we had this idea, why don't we bring the bank to their doorstep? So that's the idea behind the Bangko ng Bayan Cash Agency Initiative. And with those elements that we're putting together under the aegis of the Financial Inclusion Initiative of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, I think it's going to be a win-win solution for all of us, no? Our end users, our partners from the public sector, from the government agencies, and now with water.org. So simply put, this is a marriage that we're going to enter, wherein the results hopefully will produce better lives for our countrymen, especially in the countryside.
Thank you very much, Bong. Tanya, since Cantilan already has a fairly developed relationship with water.org, what I'd like to hear from you, and I think also the public would like to hear, what is needed to bring those numbers upwards? As you said, the level of commitment, well, not commitment, but the level of loan booking has been low. What is needed to bring it to the next level?
Thank you for that. In our experience, again, since we started piloting this product that we co-developed with water.org in late 2019, so we only kind of had a limited distribution of this across our branches. And again, you have the pandemic that just started in first quarter of 2020. We just rolled out this new product. And so we were constrained with the decision of whether we roll it out across all our branches in the same way that we would do like a traditional product, or launch it really together with our mobile banking app. So we're very much interested in seeing the impact of having a digital finance platform like a mobile banking app, and something that can deliver both the financial product itself, but together with that element of education through the campaigns that we can do in app, and what types of new products we can actually come up with that allow even the clients to understand that, okay, they can get a loan if they need to, they need finance for their deep well, they need finance for getting a water connection. But at the same time, kind of going towards the end of the process, now that you're connected, let's say, to a local water utility, what do you then do if that local water utility itself is not connected to any bank as a biller? So we're trying to close these gaps along the way, because now that we've seen what potential this product could have, again, we've only rolled it out to a select number of branches up until this point. Now that we've just launched our app, we're very curious and very interested in seeing the impact of this across the other provinces that we serve. And again, I'm looking at that particular challenge of how do we talk to a multitude of local water utilities who have all manner of systems for issuing their bills, and whatever banks that they may use or might not use, and there are a lot of opportunities there for improvement, and definitely for the partners that exist actually on this panel. It'd be an interesting problems to actually solve with their expertise. So I'm very excited to be here actually and meeting all of these other stakeholders. It opens up a lot of other concepts of partnerships where we can approach these problems that we've been facing, but never really understood how to solve until now. So I'm really excited about that.
Thank you very much, Tanya. There are three themes that I keep hearing from all the participants or all the panelists. The first is, of course, technology. The second is finance. The third is education. These three themes have been mentioned by most of the panelists, and I can see how do you bring greater financial inclusion by using technology and education as a way to drive that, not only for water per se, but for any financial inclusion initiative. Why don't we start with you, Tanya, since you're already in the screen?
Great question. Well, we've had several attempts at providing financial literacy campaigns in the usual way, at least the usual way for rural banks, at least. So since 2010, we've been serving conditional cash transfer recipients, and now also because of the pandemic, that includes SAP beneficiaries, and soon I think some farmers who will be beneficiaries of other government programs. And we've been practicing with the way we deliver financial literacy through face-to-face interactions, getting them together in the public gym in a municipality. And you're talking about hundreds of people that you want to set up in like some sort of classroom way, where they have a teacher, a facilitator who's talking to them about how to do budgeting. And fast forward to now, and we have the question, is this even relevant? But actually, in our experience now, we've seen them struggle, especially the way they deliver education, of course, to the countryside for school children. The reliance on digital for modules and all the educational materials. It's very idealistic, but in reality, on the ground, that's not really what's happening. You still have people going to the puro call, trying to meet their teacher who has the printed out modules. And then, you keep asking them, okay, so do you go once a week on video call with your teacher? Most of the children here would say, no, that doesn't happen. Why? Because we don't have cell phones like the kids, the school children. And so they're not really able to get a lot of these, interventions in the way that it was designed to do. And it's critical for us to understand, okay, what does it mean if you're then talking to an underbanked or unbanked person that you want to include into a space that's fairly complicated? I mean, finance is quite complicated. It's intimidating. Will it really help if you're going to start talking to them through an app about, okay, these are the types of products that might be relevant to you? So these are sort of the experiments that we're willing to do based on our experience in the past. We were dealing with, sometimes at the peak of our intervention with our partnership with DSWD, with CCT, we were disbursing to 200,000 beneficiaries per month of CCT beneficiaries. And, along the way, we were providing financial literacy campaigns, but that's not really sustainable. We can't meet 200,000 people every month. So in gyms, in public gyms. So what does this mean now with digital? So we're very willing to experiment on that, but the materials that we have to develop, again, we look towards partners maybe to help us kind of create compelling educational materials that we can have inside our platform, or maybe have a partner that just basically caters to that, and we can just allow them to use our platform to reach our own clients. So we're interested in that.
Thank you. Paco, do you have any experience on this?
Not too much. It's very painful and it's painful and bloody. But I think it's been mentioned already that we're really dealing with a big system problem, right? It's the same with my education problem. It's a big system. I've been dealing with it for 30 years, and giving technology, or in the case of this Phoenix discussion now, giving financial inclusion doesn't solve the water and waste problem, really, right? I think Tanya's group, I've seen you because I was on the Union Bank board, Tanya, so I've seen you in action when you guys do design thinking, right? So when you design your product and service in all successful companies, you really need to talk to your customer and figure out what is the real problem here, right? And what we will learn is that, I guess, once you go to these rural towns, the problems are very different from what we here in Makati or whatever country club we're at think is the problem. I have cell phones, my kids have whatever, right? And we have internet galore. But when Tanya already described it, when you go out there, they might have a smartphone, but they don't have the budget to pay for the internet connectivity to download the materials. And then we insist on Google Classroom where you need to be connected all the time. It just doesn't work. So I think all of us really have, and that's what Field Dev does, right? We work with people to go through this design thinking process. You understand the real problems of your customers and figure, okay, what is the contribution of financial inclusion products or services that any of us might add to this problem, and let's see if it really helps. But let's not go into the problem where a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? My dad always says that. You're a hammer and you think everything's a nail, and you start hammering things when maybe it's a screw, or maybe it doesn't even need a hammer, right? So it's really, and that's why I think we need more system engineers, system thinkers. And in the Philippines, we do graduate a lot of engineers, but they're also not trained to become business analysts to figure out, okay, what are the real problems here? And to talk and communicate with the stakeholders. And by the way, normally the local government is one of the hardest entities in the world to deal with, right? So it's really difficult. So you need special talents to deal with that problem. And then even that is different in each town you go to, right? You go to one LGU, it's different from the next LGU. And then they have cooperatives. So it's really quite difficult. And so I really have a high respects to all of you and everyone here who's trying to do it. But it really takes a lot of patience, and anything that we think like fintech, edtech, health tech, these things take digital transformations that at least take 3 years, in my experience, at least 3 years. It's not going to be as easy as, oh, here's an app, magic, it's going to be like Facebook, right? No, it's not like that.
Thank you, Paco. David, do you have something to add to this?
Yes, Joa. Well, financial inclusivity are simple words, but as a programmer, it has complex meaning and execution, right? So we at Multisys, we try to not really compete with any fintech players, but rather provide technology to the fintech players. Nowadays, everyone is going into their own digital play, and in the digital arena, we all know that complexity made things more complex, especially technology world. And technologies are sometimes underutilized because there are so-called integration Frankenstein model, meaning there's a lot of technology gaps. We all know that. I'm sure Raymond, Paco will agree. Okay, because everyone is trying to do the same thing, and everyone is trying to repeat, mistake by repeating, these bloody integrations and again. That's why in Multisys, what we did is we aggregate a lot of APIs and technology all together. And serving more than 2,500 clients now in the Philippines, instead of us keeping it for ourselves, what we did is we share these 2,500 clients to our partners so that they don't need to do it again. So that's why right now we're empowering like 12 fintech players as well. And we develop their super app and even their mobile banking. And creating a mobile app and promoting a certain financial inclusion model is not easy, because creating an app is an app, but creating these integrations all together, linking to e-wallets, linking to banks, linking to over-the-counters, linking to all the bloody technology, you need years and years before you can finish it. So what we've done in Multisys is we simplify it. I think I like the model of my idol, Dado Banatao. So I'm also from Isabela. So I know the life of being in a barrio. Okay, I'm a barrio boy. I don't even know what's financial inclusion when I was a kid. I don't care. My life is so simple when I was a kid. But right now, especially in the pandemic, it's really quite complex because we need finance. We need help. We need help of the bank, like Rizal Bank, Cantilan Bank. They are doing the countryside development. And countryside development, we need that now. But without proper integration and without seamless integration of multiple technology, we will quite suffer from complexities. That's why I think this kind of successful story of Dado Banatao making an enablement. So if you become an enabler, okay, to everyone, I think you can make everyone win the game. So yeah, for me, I'm just really happy to have this kind of forum. I like the word of Paco. This is a union of bright minds, and unity for good is actually our game in Multisys. So thank you for involving Multisys here.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid we don't have more time to continue this discussion. It's been very interesting, actually, and I'm sure it would have gone much farther than where we are now. So I'd like to give everybody the opportunity to say a closing statement or some final words before we close this panel section. Can we start with Director Clavecillas?
Yeah, okay. So we have heard a lot about our various challenges faced when it comes to this initiative, Joey. So I would just like to encourage everyone to continuously provide support and assistance to the sector that we have been assisting ever since. And with all of our cooperation and support, I'm sure that we will be able to achieve a lot with regards to this undertaking. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director. David, closing statements?
Well, I talk a lot today for this, but for me, let's ride everyone's shoulder. Every one of us, we have our own strengths and weaknesses, right? And I believe that each one of us here right now, we have our unique strengths. So let's try to combine this all together. And, I'm really inspired, joining water.org. When Gay presented to me the idea, it's really a joining force together to somehow not save the whole world, but maybe contribute a little, for the betterment. So I'm excited to be part of this.
Thank you very much. Paco?
I'll keep it short. Yeah, so PhilDev is a network of some very minds, brighter than me, in fact. So I'm just happy that you can connect to the people there, like David says, Daro, and many other people who are really trying to make a difference, especially for the underserved. So please contact PhilDev if there's anything we can do for anybody in this Phoenix organization and with water.org.
Thank you very much, Paco. Bong?
Well, I'd like to thank once again Phoenix and water.org. And as I've already mentioned in my talk earlier, the road to recovery is very challenging. But as the title of this forum suggests, if we do it all together, contribute our expertise, our talents, I think we'll get there. And again, to borrow the title of the book of the BSP, we make sure that no one is left behind, because at the end of the day, we cannot ignore that, if there are sectors in the country, in the community that are left behind, it's gonna affect the other sectors as well. So tama nga yung sabi ng aking kababayan, si David. David, I'm from Isabela also, from Kawayan. And kailangan, diba, pag may problema, in the spirit of, diba, yun yung bayanihan eh, yung bahay lalakad. Kung sabay-sabay tayong magbubuhat, maglalakad. So we want to see a brighter future, a better future, on the way to recovery. Yeah, let's all work together. And Rizal Microbank is committed that is committed to do that with all the other partners here. So once again, thank you and good day.
Thank you, Bong. Tanya?
Thank you for this. And again, thank you to Phoenix and water.org. It's a great opportunity to meet, all the co-stakeholders, all the other organizations that have a stake in all of this. And again, water sustainability is crucial to life. And it's not just one of those corporate mission statements. It's essential, clearly. And COVID-19 has changed the relevance of digital globally, and a lot of institutions have really questioned whether they were really ready for such a scale of this level. And they knew that they were not as digitized as they thought they were. And here we are, always remaining hopeful. Through partnerships, we think that we can find better ways to provide equitable and fair access, both to finance and also to safe and clean water. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Tanya. And I'd like to thank all the members of the panel for their participation in this discussion today. It was clearly very exciting, and it's sad that we can't continue. I hope that the signing of the MOU will bring greater cooperation among the members of this panel and all the members, all the people who participated in this seminar. Thank you again on behalf of Phoenix and water.org. Let me bring you back to Carl.
Thank you, Sir Joey. And again, also thank you to all our panelists, hoping our participants were able to get good insights from our speakers. And now we will be proceeding to our ceremonial signing. We would like to start with the Department of Trade and Industry, represented by Undersecretary Blisila A. Lantoya, the Regional Operations Group Head of DTI. So this partnership with the Department of Trade and Industry will promote, advocate, and support the capacity development and financing for MSMEs engaged in water and sanitation services. So being part of the executive department of the Philippine government committed to protecting the rights and interests of the consumers and committed to developing policies and programs aimed at sustaining the development and the growth and development of the Philippine economy, this partnership will hopefully bring forth a better and brighter future for the Filipinos. Again, thank you, Ms. Blisila, for representing the Department of Trade and Industry for this partnership. We would now like to move on with the MOU signing with Finex, represented by its president, Mr. Francisco Ed Lim. So Finex is a seedbed leadership and a platform for national advocacy for financial issues. And this partnership with Finex will hopefully pave the way for the provision of support in formulating and implementing appropriate policies and legislation involving business and finance in order to spur our national development. There will be a collaborative effort between Finex and water.org in the promotion and advocacy for access to water and sanitation through financing. So exchanges of information regarding aspects relevant to the program and consultation on matters of common interest will also be expected. So hoping to see more of the Finex team in the coming months, Sir Lim. And again, thank you for this partnership as well.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. On behalf of Phoenix, we're really proud to sign the MOU. And as I said in my opening remarks, I hope that this is the beginning of a truly collaborative effort to solve a major issue among Filipinos. And thank you for the panel, to the panelists. Some of them come from Isabela, Cagayan. Just for the information of everybody, I grew up in Cagayan. And Paco, nice seeing you. We sat together in the Union Bank Board. And for your information, my grandmother comes from Igig, Cagayan, the same town, little town that Dado Panato grew up in. So we're really proud to be part of this, and I hope Kay will continue her advocacy within Phoenix, for water.org. It's a big step for us. And since Phoenix is also an advocacy group, existing not only for its members, but for the good of the Philippines, especially on the economic and financial front. I think this is a way of achieving financial inclusion, one of the ways of achieving financial inclusion for our less fortunate brothers and sisters. As I think was pointed out by our NEDA friend, I think we need about 1.1 trillion pesos to comply with our with the SDG goal number 6. So this may not be a very big step, but this is definitely part of a big collaboration towards the same end. Maraming salamat.
Thank you again, Sir Lim.
Thank you, President Lim. Just want to say a few words. It's not just bringing together bright minds, but bringing together bright minds and noble hearts. And I'm confident we can do a lot. Thank you.
We apparently had quite a lot of panelists from Ilocos. Sorry, hindi po ako marunong mag-Ilocano. But moving on to our next partnership, we would like to call in Mr. David Almirol, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Multi-stakeholder. I was pretty happy to note yung quote ni Sir David that collaboration is our model and partnership is our game. So from what we've heard earlier today, Multisys is a software engineering solution firm that provides a wide range, cost-effective, and full-scale service to tailor fit and empower businesses, and it is in their recognition in the value of water and sanitation that this partnership has come about. It will be one where Multisys will provide technology and support and sustainable solutions and innovations for water.org and also to our partners para ma-enhance ang kanilang capability to scale and sustain their services. Thank you again, Sir David, for representing Multisys in this partnership. We look forward to having more meetings with you and the rest of your team.
Thank you as well, Carl. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving for our next partnership, may we call in Mr. Paco Sandejas, representing PhilDev Foundation. Sir Paco was saying na you really have to get to the bloody details. So the same with water and financial inclusion, many details will really come together. And we hope that the partnership between PhilDev Foundation and water.org can do quite a number of things. Now, we've already committed to doing joint promotion and advocacy on innovative approaches to increase water and sanitation access, exchange of information on aspects relevant to the program, and also, again, doing capacity development for communities, enterprises, and institutions. Looking forward to working with the team, Sir Paco.
And we at PhilDev likewise. Thank you.
Thank you po ulit. And now calling Mr. Bong Rojas, the president of Rizal Microbank. Quoting again also what Sir Bong also said, no, talagang hindi, we cannot rely on people still going to the syudad, what nakalimutan ko yung term ni Sir Bong, to the poblacion. So yes, definitely new approaches and partnerships are crucial, and what you said that the marriage that we are creating today will hopefully result to better lives for our countrymen, lalo yung mga nasa countryside, kasi talaga namang nasa kanila rin ang demand. So thank you for representing Rizal Microbank today, Sir Bong.
Our pleasure, and thank you as well.
And lastly, may we call in Ms. Tanya Hotchkiss, the Executive Vice President of Cantilan Bank. No, talaga namang sinabi ni Ms. Tanya paulit in several ways and in several points that really you have to have these partnerships to do all the innovations that we are really looking forward to. And this memorandum of understanding between our two organizations will really, and we're very hopeful that it will help households in underserved and unserved communities, especially in our in the areas of Visayas in Mindanao. Thank you, Ms. Tanya, for representing Cantilan today.
Thank you as well. Thank you.
So may we also have may we also request for a photo of all our partners, again calling to the stage now, to our virtual stage, our DTI representative, Finex representative, Multisys, PhilDev, Rizal Microbank, and Cantilan Bank for some photos within our group. I'm
Okay,
hoping. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning. We will just request everyone to open their cameras.
Ayan, so proceeding po with our group shot, no? May we request everyone to also turn on their cameras. And you may likely see your photos in our Facebook pages. Happy to share them with you later on. Do let me know, Alex, when we're good.
I think they're all ready. Okay, ready on my count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone. And echoing what our CEO also said earlier today, so talagang yung ating multi-stakeholder partnerships will hopefully bring forth more fruits for our Filipino countrymen. Now, for our closing remarks, may we call in Ms. Arlene May Guevara, our liaison director from the Finex Financial Inclusion Committee.
Good morning and thank you to everyone.
Morning, ma'am.
We are being faced with a lot of challenges that are brought about by this COVID-19 pandemic. And at the heart of it, it really is a health crisis. And being a health crisis, it just really amplifies the need for providing the basic needs of our people. And we talk of basic needs that really involves water and sanitation, which is really part of the SDG goals that we have. And that necessarily brings us also to the issue of financial inclusion. And therefore, financial inclusion is really an imperative. And as Gay has pointed out earlier, what we have seen in this pandemic is it highlights the need for the sustainable access to water and sanitation and the need for partnerships. And so therefore, this ceremonial signing of our MOU really brings to the fore the importance of this partnership. Of course, we have different sectors and stakeholders involved. The government is really an integral part of it. We need the government to lay down the framework, the rules, the roadmap, for all of the other sectors of society to contribute. And the financial sector also has a very important role to play to do the funding and the financing for all of these activities. And as an enabler, we need also the platform, a digital platform, and technology is going to play a very, very crucial part as we move forward. And that has also been highlighted during this pandemic. Development sector will also play a big role. And as Paco has mentioned, the foundation like PhilDev will really take care of the advocacies on education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And Finex also is going to play a major role in terms of consultation and exchange of information and also advocacy and pushing for legislation. Water.org is also crucial in terms of providing technical assistance. And so therefore, we see really the need for a multi-stakeholder approach. And we all have to, given this fact that it has also been mentioned earlier, it's just too big. Too TOO, big, and this issue of too big, TUBIG, is really at the heart and mind of all of us. We are all involved and concerned with this. So we need to invest time, energy, and resources. And if we really want to prepare for our recovery, and we know that that recovery will have to be sustainable, we have to look at really making ourselves and our country future ready. So I would like to end with what our ASEC from NEDA, ASEC Plata mentioned. Let us all engage, let us partner, and let us act now. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Have a good day and keep safe.
Thanks again, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you. And we look forward to reporting the fruitful results of these collaborations with you in the long run. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Judith, and the rest of our support team for all the help.
Thank you, Rimpo. Thank you.
Thank you, team. Nice job.